Hello, it's Renee. Welcome back to Renee Plays with Makeup. So for today, we are focusing on face shape. Now, a pear face is pretty unique when it comes to face tutorials. I see a lot of tutorials out there that are about square face, about a diamond face, round, oval, triangle on occasion, or inverted triangle, just every once in a while. But a pear face shape is kind of difficult to come across. So with the pear face shape, what you're really looking for to define a pear face shape is a narrower forehead. And so if I turn my face to the side, you can see that the temple area has a little bit of width there, but straight on it looks pretty narrow. And then it comes out to the cheekbones. Now, if it were a diamond, my face would come narrower toward my chin, but there's a lot of softness going on from my extra weight that I'm carrying right now. And so instead of a square or any kind of pointiness going on from my jawline, it's rounded. And so you'll see a lot of that, unfortunately, in the jawline. And I don't have my camera set to where I normally like to have it, which is up a little bit higher so it's more flattering, because I wanted you to see this face shape full on, full front. I pulled my hair back all the way so that there is no hiding the pear shape. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna do the foundation. I'm gonna use my wrist as a palette for my makeup. Now, since today is all about flattering our natural features for all of us that have a pear face shape, I'm going to do a more natural look on my makeup. I've been breaking out with the humidity that's going on in San Diego lately, so I want a little bit more coverage. Oh, and forgot. So I'm using the Stay Naked foundation. This is in shade 30NN, and this is Urban Decay. And if you've been watching me for the videos I've put out so far, you'll know that's because it's a cruelty-free brand. So I'm gonna come down here, get all these breakouts, just cover them up. The nice thing about this foundation is it is buildable. So I can go in and I can put a lot more coverage if I choose. I'm steering clear of my under eye because I don't want to put as thick of a foundation on my under eye. I want to be able to have much more of a natural look. Spread it out a little bit, just like that. For my under eye, I'm using NYX's HD Photogenic Studio. This is in shade CW02. I'm just gonna dab a few spots under my eye. And now I'm gonna use that dampened sponge. Next, I'm using the NYX HD Photogenic translucent powder just to set that area under my eyes. Use that same sponge to kind of go in. That's it. And then I'm going to use a bronzing brush. I'm using mostly IT Cosmetic brushes. This is a bronzing brush, and it's great for swiping the excess powder away. So now the cheekbones. We're giving definition to these beautiful cheekbones. And something that I've seen done a lot, and I've done as well in the past, is to use the wrong tool with the wrong shade. So we have 3 different common tools to use on our cheeks, and this is for on the cheekbones as well as underneath. What you want to do is choose the shape or the size that's going to best bring out the shape of your own face. So the best way to do that is to go to the store and look at the different brushes that they have and compare them to the size of your face. So I've used this quite often on my face, and if you see where I place it for under the cheekbone, because my cheekbone's right here, I place it underneath it and I have the direction going of how it'd be placed. There's very little area, tuck it under, there's very little area that would not be covered by this brush, because when you use it, it spreads out. Next, the rounded, kind of a pointy head of a brush. This one is nice and soft, and that's great for preventing harsh lines, but again, it's very large. So when I place it on my face, you'll see some of the cheekbone gets covered, and then there's very little edge of my jawline that's displayed. So I wanted you to be wary of using a brush that's too large for the space that is underneath the cheekbone. I use this as my choice for adding shape to my cheekbones. So I'm gonna first add the shadow, and then I will add the blush and highlight. And I'm going to be using Julep's So Radiant. This is technically a bronzer, but there's a lot of pink pigment in this, or more of a rose. So this is in the shade of medium tan, and you can see there's kind of a rosy color to it. So it's more like a rose tan. If it were a classic bronzer where it had a lot more orange, I would not be using this under my cheekbones because I am a neutral skin tone and it would show up very orange on my face. And get some product, shake it off the brush just to prevent it from creating a harsh line. So I'm gonna go for the outer corner of my eye, and then I'm gonna go all the way back to my ear. And I'm not going to suck in my cheeks, because then that would draw me to put my line in this angle. But that's not the shape of our cheekbones. Our cheekbone is up here. So we're gonna follow the natural shape of the cheekbone. Do the same over on the other side. It's about here. Tuck straight hands. And now I have cheekbones. For today's color, we're adding onto the cheekbones and to the eyes. We're gonna use the same palette, which is Jaclyn Hill's Volume 1, and it's a high pigment ratio, so just keep in mind that, you know, this is gonna be just a little bit of color that we're adding, and a little goes a long way, especially if you have light skin tone or light skin shade like I do. If you're following my tutorials because you have a neutral skin tone, a lot of Volume 1 goes really great on our skin tone, but again, very high pigment, so be selective of how much, be very light-handed with how much you put on your brushes. So for the blush, we are going to go with Cranapple. I've gotten plenty of product on my brush, and I'm going to take it against my wrist, just kind of dab it, and it lets me know how intense the shade is. And it's really tempting to smile to get those apples to show up more intensely, but when we do, it can be easily a Raggedy Ann circle on the front of our face. So it's going to be better to allow your face to relax and then add just a few swipes. So we're starting around the apple very lightly and bringing up across our cheekbone, but again, very lightly. And now whenever I smile, that color shows up without it being those big pink circles like a Raggedy Ann doll. So to add some highlight to our cheekbones and then the couple other areas of our face, we're gonna use Too Faced face highlighter. This is Turn Up the Light in Shades of Light. As you can see, this is the lightest shades that they have, and that's because I have such a light skin shade. Otherwise, I would have gone the next shades up. So we're going to start off with the Glow over the cheekbones. So I start around, and I mean around. You don't want a sharp line going from color to highlight. You want to start around the outer edge of the eye, on the top of your cheekbone. And so that gives us a nice defined cheekbone. So you have highlight, color, which kind of helps to pop it away from the shade, the shadow that we've created. So to get my jawline, I am going to use that same Julep bronzer in medium tan that I was using earlier as the shadow under my cheekbone. And I'm going to use the angled brush, the one that I was saying I don't like to use anymore for under my cheekbone. I'm going to use it under my jawline. So I'm stretching out back here, and I'm going to start from just under my earlobe. And then I'm stretching my chin forward a little bit to help to smooth it out, to stretch that skin out just a little bit more. And it adds a soft line. It's not a hard line. You want to be very careful that you do not add a hard line. Especially if you're going to go out in natural lighting. So I'm going to lift my chin. So I'm going to rub around to help blend that color down my neck. Now I'm not going all the way down my neck. You only want to use it on the area that should be in shadow. So you just want to go where the natural light would create a shadow under your jawbones. So this looks pretty nice. We want to have a little bit of difference between the two areas just to give a little bit of a further definition. So that's when we're going to use soft focus. It's not adding a huge highlighting. If you want to add a stronger highlighter, then you're gonna go with Glow. And that's something that I use as a highlighter on other areas, such as my Cupid's bow. And since I just placed it above my cheekbones, you do not want to use the same kind of highlight for that area in your temple. You're going to want to use soft focus, this middle section here, this middle highlight. Because you're just adding a little bit of lightness. You're not calling attention to it. You can add as much as you want if your skin shade is very close, but you don't want to draw attention to it. So I will tend to use, I'll go in with that same brush, and I'm gonna come around to make it a little bit rounder across the top. So to add a little bit of rounding across the top, it just helps to draw attention away from this face shape point that is going on up here. For my eyes, I'm just gonna do something really natural looking. I am going in with the most natural shade in the palette for neutral skin tones, which looks great on a fair skin shade, and that is Meeks. Okay, so now you can see there is a lot of light contouring that I've done. I have not gone heavy. That's because I'm gonna spend most of the rest of my time today outdoors. As soon as it cools off from the middle of the day heat, I like to go for afternoon walks during this time. Just get an hour or so of sunlight. I don't look like it. I look really fair, but I have been getting some much needed sunlight. So you can see all the contouring is good for a pear face shape. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial for natural looks on pear-shaped faces, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Shine brightly, beautifuls. So hiding a lot of these, or pulling a lot of these hairs behind my face or behind my ear. Truck outside is really loud. Wait until the trash guy's gone. Okay. I hope you've, it's a little bit of makeup from my wrist getting on my clothes. Okay, I can take my hair down now. Okay. Oh, oh. Ow, 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 ow. Oh. Oh. Hairpin headache. Okay. Time for walk.